So yeah, let us just continue. And today I will continue, I will give an introduction into the layered intrusions. Layered intrusions are very important ore deposits. I told you also in ES106 about the chromite deposits, and we discussed also in ES303 these huge chromite layers, and these chromite layers can be found in layered intrusions. But in layered intrusions you can also find other important ore minerals. You can find, for example, the platinum group elements. So in layered intrusions you find these very expensive and rare metals. And these very rare metals, also the chromite, is crystallizing at high temperature. So a high temperature. So if you are going back to our first class from this semester, where I told you about the general aspects, then you can see that I gave you this table, and from this table you can see that these layered intrusions are mafic or ultramafic. Otherwise you cannot produce layering. And there you will crystallize minerals which are formed at high temperatures. Temperatures can be rise up to 1600 degrees Celsius. So today I will just give you an introduction about layered intrusion, and there I will show you the example from the Ili-Mausag intrusion. So why the Ili-Mausag intrusion? That is totally easily because I did my master thesis in South Greenland, and there I did it at the Ili-Mausag intrusion, and there I can then show you, or I will show you some figures from my master thesis. So where is now Ili-Mausag? Ili-Mausag is in South Greenland, and you can see here Greenland, and that is the continent constellation during Rodinia. So that was supercontinent Rodinia, and you can see it looks quite different from today. I mean today Greenland has just flipped 90 degrees, and here we have Laurentia, which is today a part of North America. Here we have East Gondwana and West Gondwana, that is today Africa. Then you have here the Congo Craton, which is today also Africa. You have Siberia it is today Russia, and you have the Balticum, which is also between Europe and Asia. So, and that is now the continent constellation 1 billion years ago. And here we have the Grenville orogen. The Grenville orogen, that is a typical orogen, which, or a huge orogen, during the formation of Rodinia. That is just here all the gray stuff. So next slide please. So, and that is now how it looks like in detail in South Greenland. Here the white stuff, that is just ice, yeah. So that makes it then a little bit difficult for exploration companies, because you can only mine there 3 months per year during summertime, yeah? So when you have a zone around the ice cap during summertime of about 3 kilometers. So here we have this Ili-Mausag intrusion where I did my masters. We have here also some other intrusions, like here, Pucklen, or here you have the Igalico complex. So next slide please. So, and that is now a detailed map of such a layered intrusion from above. You can see here different rock units. Here the red one, that is for example a granite, yeah, and you know a granite, that is a felsic rock. So in a felsic rock you cannot produce any magmatic layering. So, and that is because of the viscosity. So there the viscosity is higher, because you know in a felsic rock, we discussed this also by now in ES303, if we are talking about felsic rocks, then you have a silica concentration which is higher than 60 to 70%, yeah, not more than 70, and that means that all the tetrahedrons are connected to each other, and that causes then, or leads to a higher viscosity. So, and therefore you cannot form any magmatic layering in a granitic rock. We will discuss this later in detail. So then we have here surrounded, the granites are surrounded by this pinkish stuff. Yeah, that is a Buddhaskite. You know, this map was done actually, or this area was mapped in the 60s, that means it is now 50 years ago. And in the 60s and the 50s, people, when they have seen a new type of rock, then they are just giving them an own name. Yeah. So nowadays we are simplifying the things. We are just saying this is a plagioclase granite, that is a K-feldspar granite, that is a fine weight granite, and finish. So now we have here a sodalite foliate, and you know a sodalite, we discussed this also by now in ES301, a sodalite, that is a mineral which occurs in silica undersaturated rocks. Yeah? So there you can then produce the first magmatic layering. So then we have here this pinkish, this purple stuff, that is a nauyite. A nauyite is also a rock type which you can only find in South Greenland, or you can find it in Murmansk, that is in Russia, or you can find it in Mount St. Hilary, that is in Canada. I will show you later on some pictures from these nauyites. So then we have here this more harder stuff here, that is the so-called Kagortokite. In this Kagortokite, there you can find a very nice magmatic layering. And you have here the Luyabrite. So these are the Luyabrite, and the Luyabrite, these are actually the residual melt. Yeah? We discussed this now also a lot of times in ES301, and we discussed it also in ES303 about the residual melt. So, and of course in the residual melt is then enriched in water. You know this by now, because water is an incompatible phase, and therefore this Luyabrites, they contain then other ore minerals as these rock types which were formed in the early magmatic stage. Yeah? It's just a playing around with the temperature. Yeah? So, but if we are talking then about the residual melt which forms here the Luyabrite, that means there we can then expect some pegmatites. Yeah? Because the pegmatite is formed at about 600 degrees Celsius, and the pegmatites, they are cross-cutting then all the other rock units. So next slide, please. So, and this is how it looks like from outside when you are traveling there. Yeah. I mean, in South Greenland you do not have any vegetation, that makes it then very easy for field work. Yeah. Because there is no tree and no grass and nothing which covers your rocks. So, and here you can see that is this magmatic layering. Yeah. So in this magmatic layering, these are just sheets of actually of the same of rocks of the same composition, but you have inside or you have within these different layers, you have a chemical separation. It is not only a chemical separation, it is also a physical separation, which I will show you also then later, but today I have some, at first at the introduction, some pictures. So, and here we have the different intrusivas, yeah. So, and here that was one result of my work which I have done here. We have 4 intrusive phases. So we have here at first the orgite cyanitic magma, yeah. You know by now what an orgite is. I mean, those of you who has been with me at the ES303 excursion in Kourou, you have seen a lot of orgite, yeah, it's a pyroxene. You know by now also what a cyanide is. A cyanide is a granite-to-eat rock, but has, compared to the granite, a lower silica concentration. It has then a silica concentration of about 55%. So then here the red stuff, that is just the acid alkalic magma. So acid means we have a felsic rock. This felsic rock contains the more silica compared to the cyanide. And alkali, you know what alkali means by now. You know it as well. These are the rocks which contains a lot of alkalis. And these alkalis, that is then just potassium and sodium. So then we have here an aquaitic magma. Aquaitic magma, that is a certain type of a very silica undersaturated melt, which you can only find at a few places on this planet, as I just mentioned to you before, that you can find in South Greenland, in Murmansk, that is in Russia. You know, there are all these nuclear power submarines lying around. And then we have here this Luya-Brütig magma, which is the residual melt. So it is always the scale that if we are talking about igneous processes, we are crystallizing different rock types, and these different rock types, of course, we are starting at a higher temperature, then the temperature will cool down, then we are producing a residual melt, and in all different magmatic stages, we are forming different rocks, and these different rocks containing then different ore minerals. So, but you should actually know this by now, because I have mentioned it a lot of time. So, and now we have here this slice of bread. Yeah, it looks like as a slice of bread, but it is not a slice of bread. So, and that is how the schematical map, or just a cross section through this intrusion. We have here at the top this very acid rocks. So, and then we are going down with the temperature, and then we are crystallizing always more and more silica undersaturated rocks. So, and in these silica undersaturated rocks, we have then our magmatic layering. So that is here, then this nauyite, then this luyarite, and then this cacotopite. You must not remember the names of all these rocks, because they are very special rocks and you can only find them there. So next slide, please. So, but these are now two cross sections. One time through the upper part of the intrusion, and here of the lower part. So, and then you can just see here the different rock units, foyite, sodalite, foyite. So, and here you can then see there is a luyarite channel. And these channels, I mean, I told you just before, these luyarites, it's the residual melt in this case. So when these luyarites then are formed, maybe I got when I worked on this stuff 600 degrees Celsius, they are just cross-cutting then all the other rock units. So here now the lower part. So, and here you can see these xenolites. So in these xenolites, they can just they can be actually very weak, we discussed this also in ES301, that you have always the contamination and the assimilation with the surrounding country rocks. Yeah. So, and of course, if you are throwing such a xenolite inside any melt, I mean, here we have this luyarite that is not that hot, so the xenolite maybe can survive. Yeah. But if you have a melt which is about 1200 or 1300 degrees hot, so then this xenolite will just fall inside and then it becomes molten up. Yeah. And then you are changing always the chemistry, because you are adding something, and if you are crystallizing something from a melt, that means you are crystallizing minerals from your melt, then you are subtracting something. So, or you are subtracting minerals, and therefore you are changing frequently the chemical composition of your melt. Boom. Next. So then, yes. So here we have now a cross section, how it looks like. So I mean, we have here just a crystal-free magma. Here we have the liquidus. You know by now what the liquidus is, yeah? On the upper part of the liquidus you have only melt. If you are crossing the liquidus, then you are forming the first minerals out from your melt. So when they are just lying in such a way around, or they are actually in a suspension, and we are between the liquidus and the convective boundary, we have then a suspension zone which contains of about up to 25% of crystals. So and if we have such a melt, where we have only some minerals here in suspension, that means our melt is still very mobile, yeah? It can flow very quickly, yeah? So, but if we have producing then between the convective boundary and the rigid boundary, here we have then the crystal liquid mush. So if we are talking about the crystal liquid mush, then single crystals are growing together with each other, and then our melt is not longer that mobile, yeah? So, but here, if we are connecting more and more minerals together, I mean they are just growing together, and we are crossing here the rigid boundary, then our melt becomes always less and less mobile, yeah? So, and if we are crossing, going down to the solidus, and the solidus is this one here, then we have a solidified rock, and this solidified rock contains then of 100% of crystals. Yep. So, but there are different models of such a magma chamber. So, and we discussed these models also in ES301, but here we are discussing it in respect of ore minerals. So we have here this model, for example, we have here just a magma chamber. So when we are crystallizing, we are starting then to crystallize minerals out of our rock, and then you know minerals with a high density, that is olivine, orgite and all these minerals, the mafic minerals containing the magnesium and iron, they are just sinking to the bottom of the chamber, yeah? So that is the very classical model, yeah? So whereas if we are talking about a mafic melt, and if we have, for example, plagioclase inside, I told you, the plagioclase has then a lower density compared to the surrounding melt, and that will just float up, yeah? You know this by now. Or we have such a model, yeah? Because our melt has a much higher temperature compared to the country rocks, yeah? So, and that means at the contact zone next to our country rocks, there we will form, according to this model, we will form here, or we will start here to produce a solidified rock, yeah, because that is just because of the temperature gradient, yeah. So, and of course, this rock, which is here in contact with our country rocks, they have, or they are then much more fine-grained, yeah. Of course, they are much more fine-grained because they are cooling down much faster, yeah. So, and if you are going then more far away, if we are going more inside, then we are producing more and more coarse-grained rocks, yeah? So, and of course, at the rim, in contact to the country rocks, there we are forming the minerals which are formed at higher temperature. So, and these minerals are water-free minerals. So, because I told you now thousands of times that water is an incompatible element, yeah? So, and this water is then in hydrous minerals. So, in the hydrous minerals, they are formed at lower temperature, and they are sitting then inside in the residual melt. So we discussed this while we were talking about the copper ore deposits, the gold ore deposits, and the tin ore deposits. Yeah. So and from this residual melt here inside your chamber, there you are running then. If you are running below 600 degrees Celsius, you will at first form this pegmatites, and then you are running in all your hydrothermal stages. Yeah. The hydrothermal stages, you know it by now, that is the catathermal, the mesothermal, the epithermal, and the telethermal. So in there, we have the solidification front. So you know by now also what the solidification front is, because if you are just going back to your ES301 field trip, there I showed you the solidification front. So, but I don't know if I called it there a solidification front or the chilled margin. The chilled margin and the solidification front is actually the same. So, and if you remember during your ES301 field trip, also during your ES203 field trip, I showed you the pillow lavas, yeah? So in the pillow lavas in contact to the surrounding rock, you have then this solidification front, or you have this chilled margin. So in this solidification front, I mean if you are talking about layered intrusions, then you are forming here different layers of minerals within one layering. So, and I mean it is by now not scientifically not really solved how the layering exactly worked out. The others laying it is a chemical process, but there is actually a much more easier model. So for example, if you are looking out of the street, yeah, and if you are looking at the traffic, yeah, so if a lot of cars are driving there, you must not have an accident or something like this to slow down the whole movement. It is just if you have a lot of cars driving on the road, then they become then automatically slower. So, and that is one explanation here from the layered intrusions, or how this magmatic layering now in first word working. Next. So these are now 4 pictures. Here we have actually a crystal mesh, yeah. So in between this crystal mesh, we have everywhere still melt pockets. So and these melt pockets are very important for the ore deposits. So because certain ore minerals like the platinum or so, or vanadium, they become then concentrated in these melt pockets. So if you are going then down with the temperature, then you can see your rock here becomes always more and more rigid. Yeah, I mean here the whole melt is actually not longer very flexible, because all your melt pockets are actually enclosed by minerals, yeah? Whereas here you have still a whole network of melt, and the crystals are swimming in this melt. So here we are going just continuing with our solidification process, and here you are starting now. I mean here you have still a lot of melt pockets, but you can see you are starting now to close them more and more. And at the end, if you are looking at inchless rocks in thin section, you are getting here everywhere the triple junctions, yeah? So, and then of course it depends how fast you are cooling down your rock. So, I mean, if you have this situation here and you are cooling this down very, very fast, that means your melt remains as glass in your rock, yeah? So because there is no time for the perfect formation of all the crystals inside. So, but if you are cooling down your rock very slow, then you can form here everywhere the triple junction, and the whole rock becomes then annealed, yeah? Or if you are tempering a rock, tempering means you are keeping just your rock type for a certain time at a certain temperature. So, and then that means your rock and your minerals, they can anneal, and then you will not find anymore any melt pockets inside. So these are now thin sections of a densified anorthosite. You know by now what an anorthosite is, because I showed you this also, I think, during the ES301 or in some meadow. Have you been at some meadow river? Yes, and there you saw this big white rock units within the dark rock units, yeah? And the dark rock units, these are mafic rocks, and the white rock units, these are these anorthosites. So, in the anorthosite is formed of the mineral anorthite, yeah? I mean, and there you can see here a lot of plagioclases. So, but these anorthosites, all four of them, they have cooled down. I mean, the last one has them cooled down very slowly. You can see all these minerals are grown actually in a perfect shape, whereas here they are looking very distorted, yeah? So, and though you can then, or that is then the microscopic observation. Therefore, you don't need any high-tech labs. You need just a microscope and somebody who can prepare thin sections, and then you can do your observation under the microscope using this thin section, and then you can make first estimation if this rock was cooled down slowly or if this rock has been cooled down very fast. So, and if a rock has cooled down slowly, then you are expecting other ore deposits as in the rock which has cooled down fast. I mean, actually, rocks which has cooled down very fast, they are not good indicator for ore deposits, yeah? For certain ore deposits. Because if you are talking about ore deposits like we have done in the past, the gold, the copper, and so on, yeah? So therefore, these elements becomes enriched in a residual melt, and you can find them in plutons or outside from plutons, which cool them down very slowly. If this stuff cools down very fast, then there is actually no time for enrich them somewhere, and there is also no time for the formation or the enrichment at certain places inside your intrusion or outside of your intrusion. Yeah, that is actually a schematic representation here, yes, of monomineralic cumulate rock. Monomineralic means all these minerals in this sketch map are of the same chemical composition. Yeah, that could be that these are all olivines or quartz or whatever you want. So, and that is now again the situation for a rock type which cooled down very slowly. As I told you before, if it cooled down very fast, then you have everywhere these melt pockets sitting around. So in these melt pockets, you can then find in the grain boundaries. So, but these grain boundaries or the angles within your grain boundaries are also very important for the fluid transport. Yeah? I showed you also this example a few weeks ago from the Colorado Plateau, where we have this Colorado mineral belt, and the Colorado mineral belt that was formed by the movement of fluid. So in the movement of fluid through a rock can only be through the grain boundaries, and therefore it is important how your grain boundaries in the here especially the triple junction looks like. Yep. So here we have now the accumulates, the mesocumulates, and the autocumulus growth. So if we have accumulus growth, that means we have just some crystals within a melt. Meso, that is the between. So we have more crystals which are more and more connected to each other, and we have the autocumulus growth, that is then just at the bottom, and there we have then a very rigid melt. So, and of course here we have the flow velocity, and I mean if we have this situation from accumulus, we have then a high flow viscosity, velocity. Yeah, of course we have just some crystals inside. I showed you this in the diagrams before as well. So, and therefore we can have a faster flow of our melt. So, whereas if we are producing or crystallizing then more crystals out of the melt, then you are getting a melt which is more rigid, and then the velocity of your melt slows down. So, and here we have then one example how this magmatic layering then works. Here you can see, here you have a boundary and here you have a boundary. And that we are producing then here at this front more autocumulates, and here at this front we have then bigger crystals followed by more smaller crystals. And here we are forming the next layer. So in this layer they can be chemically the same, or they can be chemically different. So, and that is with a high precipitation rate to the solidification rate. I mean, here we have then the solidification front. Then we are just forming here a layer, and then we have the first magmatic layering. Then above we are forming the next layer. So, and this is also strongly dependent on the viscosity of the melt. I told you this before. That works only in silica undersaturated rocks, which has a lower viscosity. That means we have no free quartz inside. These are most of the time olivine-bearing rocks and fluid-bearing rocks. So, but how mobile a melt is, that is also strongly dependent. I showed you before these pictures where the crystals are growing together. And I told you just about this example from the Colorado mineral belt, how your triple junctions or how your triple junctions between three minerals look like. So if you have here an angle between which is lower than smaller than 60 degrees, then your melt is still very mobile. Or if we are talking about a fluid flow through a rock, then you can have, or then a network a fluid network through your rock is possible. So if you have here an angle between your grain boundaries at the triple junction of about 45 degrees, then it is still possible, but it becomes then more rigid. So when I showed you these pictures from my own work, and these are also things which you can just observe by studying the thin sections. So if you have an angle here between of 120 degrees, then you know there is fluid network through your rock is not possible. So that means if there is no fluid rock network, then you cannot enrich or mobilize some elements and depositing them somewhere. So therefore you have always to look at triple junctions between the grain boundaries of smaller than 45 degrees actually. Yeah, that is 60 and that is even smaller. Yeah, sorry for that. So and here we have now again our autocumulate. These are actually the accumulates, and these are the mesocumulates, and these are the autocumulates. So here we have still melt between our crystals. Here we have a continuous crystal growth, and if this ornament is pictures like he showed us here some zonation, and then I think these drawings were just made of plagioclase crystals, because plagioclase crystals showing always a very nice chemical zonation when they are cooling down very slowly. When they are cooling down very fast, there is no time for diffusion. I told you this as well. And if there is no time for diffusion, then we will not form a bigger crystal, and therefore we will not form, or we will not produce a chemical zonation. So and here in this case, all our crystals grows together. So there we will then continue next time. Now I have you some pictures just from South Greenland, that you get an idea how it looks like there. So I mean, South Greenland, that is on the northern hemisphere, and in the northern hemisphere and in the southern hemisphere you have still today a lot of icebergs, and that is how they look like. They are swimming everywhere around, and we had there such a quicksilver boat, and then we could drive around them and picture them. So that is now how it looks like there in the field. You can see there is nearly no vegetation. Here we have a little bit grass, but nothing else. But here you have everywhere, just everywhere, the rocks. And these rocks, there is no vegetation, and that is actually very nice for field work. To do field work there is actually also very nice, because during summertime it is there maybe between 15 to 18 degrees Celsius, and then you are not sweating that much. That is the good side there for doing field work. The bad side there for doing field work, these are all the mosquitoes. So because when I went there for the first time, I spent 2 summers there. For the first time when I went there, I was actually expecting polar bears, yeah. So and then I bought these yogurts, you know, which they had on chips, yeah. You know, because bears are very sensitive, or they are very afraid of guns, you know, of loud signals, of shots, yeah. So and then they are running away, yeah. So, but during all my 2 seasons when I was there, I have only seen one polar bear, and that was the prepared one in the museum. So otherwise, I got only mosquitoes, and they have there these huge mosquitoes, and they are biting through the trouser. They are biting through a jeans, yeah. So and then you have always to wear this mosquito net. So in this mosquito net, I mean, even if it had 18 degrees Celsius, I mean, if you are running around there or walking around, then you are starting to sweat, and then the net is just sticking on your skin, and the mosquito is then sitting on your net. So yeah. So and here, yeah, that was our quicksilver which we had here. That is just, you know, these boats, I mean, these rubber boats with the engine in the back. So, and these are these pegmatites, yeah? And you can see these pegmatites there, you can, you will form there, or they consist of quite huge minerals. I mean, that is, you know this hammer here from the lab, yeah, we have the same one in the lab. These are of this size, and that is just for my camera. It is also like this, and of this size. And there we have, for example, such a plagioclase crystal, and this plagioclase crystal is then easily 20 centimeters long. So, and then you have this greenish stuff inside, and this greenish stuff that is orgite, yeah? That is, it is in this case not an orgite, that is an agmite, or an agarine. Agmite and agarine is the same. That is a sodium iron 3 Al2 Si2O6 mineral. So, and then we have here this black stuff inside, and this black stuff here inside, these are amphiboles, and these amphiboles there are called the arvetsonite, yeah? And these arvetsonites are sodium and iron rich amphiboles. Yep. So, and here we have just a late channel. You can still see here the flow textures, yeah? So, and this channel is just cross-cutting here the surrounding rock types. And if you are seeing this surrounding rock type with the pinkish mineral, then what is this? That's granite, yeah, because the pinkish mineral inside, that is a granite. The pinkish mineral inside, that is a cave feldspar. So, and this granite is cross-cutted by this Luya-bright channel. And I mean, this is 5 centimeter, yeah, then the whole thing is maybe 20 centimeter in diameter. So that is now a Naujaite, yeah. So in this Naujaite is a very colorful rock there, and you know, there are kilometers of Naujaite, yeah. These are not just single stones lying around. I mean, here I have just pictured a single stone, but actually you are running there around on the whole lithosphere. So, and this reddish mineral here inside, that is the so-called oidianite. The black stuff again, that is the amphibole, that is this arvetsonite, and the white stuff here, these are plagioclases, you know, and you can see it is the rock itself, it is very coarse-grained, and if this rock is very coarse-grained, then it was cooling down very slow. So, and this Naujaite is also a rock type which was formed in a very late stage. So, and this Idimaussag intrusion is actually an intrusion where they have discovered by now 3,000 different types of minerals. And they have also a lot of ore minerals, but the problem is they can only mine there 3 months per year, yeah. So, I mean, maybe in 20 or 30 years they will start again. There was, in the 70s, they have done their uranium exploration, yeah. And they stopped it then because to get it from somewhere else is much cheaper. and you can mine there for the whole year. That is again the iceberg, and this guy here is from a polygon mine. So that is something now also very interesting, because when I went there was just, that was the second time when I was there, that was in 2000. So in 2000, they had a celebration there in South Greenland, because that was then 1,000 years after the Vikings were there. You know the Vikings, that is this guy from Northern Europe is the Horns, yeah. And they were actually, or they are saying, or people are thinking, that they have been the first people who has discovered, or which has discovered America. So, but officially it is Christopher Columbus, and that was 500 years ago, yeah, something like this, yeah. So, but the Vikings, they did this route over Greenland. So, and now 1,000 years later, there were some relatives, I mean, the Viking 1,000 years ago who discovered America, that was Eric the Red. So in Eric the Red, I mean, of course, he has still some relatives, or people, they are saying that they are relatives of them, and they have now, in 2000, they built 30 dragon boats. You know, these boats from the Vikings, they are called the dragon boats. And they made 30 dragon boats, and with these 30 dragon boats, they made the journey from Finland, I think Finland or Norway, to Greenland, and then from Greenland to Newfoundland, and from Newfoundland then to New York. So when I was there, they had just a stopover there in the harbor there, and then I could have a look on their boats. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that is just during the night. Because the thing is, if you are going to the North Pole, then during summertime it becomes not really dark. So it is actually, yeah, it is a little bit dark, but it is that is maybe this picture was maybe made or I made it maybe at 11 o'clock in the evening or something like this. So, but whereas during winter time it is always dark, yeah. So, and that is not that funny, yeah. So here you can see again a picture from the intrusion itself, and if one is checking it very carefully, then you have here everywhere the magmatic layering, or you can observe this magmatic layering. Yep. Yeah, that is again the dragon boat, you know, from the side, and I mean they had the icebreaker with them. Yeah, I mean 1,000 years ago, you know, a lot of these dragon boats, they are crashed into the icebergs, but nowadays they could not do this risk anymore, and so they had an icebreaker, and the icebreaker went then always in front. So that is again such a pegmatite, a wonderful one, yeah. And here you can see this star. And this star is then formed by a lot of single amphibole crystals, and due to their diffusion, they are forming then everywhere these stars. White stuff again, plagioclase and fluid minerals, and the red stuff that is again this oidianite. So here again this picture from which shows you the magmatic layering. And here again such a pegmatite, and I mean this pegmatite was quite huge. I mean these amphiboles here, they were easily of this size. I have sampled one, yeah. This stuff, if you are just going back, and this stuff, these pegmatites that are formed from the residual melt, you have then in these pegmatites a lot of hydrous minerals because of the residual melt. So in the hydrous mineral here inside, these are these amphiboles. And you know an amphibole has an OH2 group at the end. So here again, the nauyite, the black stuff again, these are these amphibole, and the white stuff, the plagioclases, and the red stuff, the ulianite. And South Greenland by night. Yeah, these are now repeating always. Next one. Yeah, that is also interesting. That is now, they made this village where Eric the Red was living 1,000 years ago. They have rebuilt it. So I mean, that is not a typical house in South Greenland. That is just a village, yeah? And this village itself is a museum. So when they have made these walls from the house just from the soil. I mean, one can see it very easily. They have sheeted it in different ways. And here they have a horizontal layer, here they have a more vertical layer, and that is one of these houses where the Vikings lived in, or lived. I think we are now through. Yup, that was it then for today.